All right, happy Friday, everybody. We've got an exciting mailbag questions for you. All of them that were submitted are answered 100% correctly, and this is important, or your money back. But I want to start with something that happened just the other day. You know, the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association, every year at this time around the NFL Combine comes out with the results of its annual players survey, a team-by-team report card, if you will, of, how those teams are doing uh, through the lens of their employees, right? The NFL players, and they rate everything. I mean, from head coaches, travel, nutrition, food, dining area, locker rooms, treatment of families, like all that stuff, right? And as you would expect, there's a number of teams that don't do very well, but then there's others that do pretty well. I got a major bone to pick. First of all, these, when you do a survey, you hope to have transparency, right? You hope to have, hey, we talked to X number of people and here's what they said, right? But when you're doing a team survey, the only ones taking the survey are the players on the team. So, how many of them participated, for example? It's not mandatory. I didn't see anybody out there collecting data, but like, who are these people? How many really wanted to weigh in or did weigh in? That's the first thing. The other thing, a year ago, I think the Bucks got an F because they charged people for daycare during the game.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted free daycare, and I think it was like $50 and whatnot. Which listen, it's a great perk. Don't get me wrong. If you're the wife of a player and you've got a young child or whatever, to be able to put them somewhere where they're they're going to be watched and taken care of for 3 hours, so you can focus on the game and escape a little while. I get it. I really do. By the same token, I can't take my kid to work even when they were kids. I couldn't do that. I would have loved to, but it's just basically not allowed. But if I did have to make arrangements, I'd have to pay for it. So, millionaires whining about not having free daycare. Okay, if that got you last year, so be it, right? But the Bucks score came out, and it wasn't a good one last year. I'll just go through it. The biggest reason they had last year, they had an F in what was known as treatment of families, right? And that can mean a lot of things. It really can. It can mean a lot of things, to different players. But basically, I think from last year to this year, the biggest change is the fact they don't charge for daycare. You know, um, it says the Buccaneers in the notes. It said the Buccaneers provide daycare during home games and stop charging $90 per child this year. They are one of 10 teams that do not offer a family room during home games, however. So that's kind of a rub for families, I suppose. Players rate the post game family area 642 or 6.42 out of 10, ranking them 28th out of 32 teams. The players felt that the team organizes team events several times per year, and they ranked 14 out of 32 in the organized portion of treatment with families. But again, last year I think they received a D or an F because of the daycare situation. This year the grade is back up to a C minus. And then you have things like dining, which I mean typically you would think you have a fairly sizable cafeteria. Are you doing you're outsourcing stuff for that or what?
I saw one team, I think it was the Bengals, if I recall. The comment was the food would taste like prison food. They got an F on dining.
Okay, a couple things about that. One, how do you know?
Well, there's some players have been arrested in the NFL, so
I guess. But like, yeah, man, when I was in the joint, wait a minute, how did you get to the NFL if you're in the joint? You play with Burt Reynolds in there or what? So the Bucks grade went up significantly in treatment of families, which is one of the first categories. They were a C minus, which still ranked 25th in the NFL. Food dining, I always get a kick out of this because it's, for starters, it's free, I think. I don't think it's a college meal plan. I smell the food, smells very delicious. But, for the dining area, it's just a bunch of tables. I don't know what they expect, but they got a C minus on that, and that's 28th in the league. Nutritionist, dietitian. This is huge because certain guys have to cut weight, lose weight, gain weight, whatever, and you're working with a nutritionist. That got a B plus, which was 16th in the league. The locker room, which is kind of like me assigning a letter grade to my oldest daughter's bedroom, which she never picks up, like it's not going to be good, right? Because basically you're telling on yourself. Okay, if you don't like the locker room, then look at the guy next to you and say, pick up your stuff. But the Bucks got a C for locker room, which was 21st.
I'm sure part of that is whatever's in the locker room as well, from
Yeah.
entertainment to relaxing to how big your stalls are to how comfortable the chairs are.
Oh yeah, I know it's all that, but it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of nitpicking a little bit too. I don't. I mean, listen, I've been to the Bucks, and I thought they have a spacious locker room, and everybody has plenty of room, to lay out their clothes or do what they're going to do. But
Well, but
it's
are they talking about the locker room at the stadium? Are they talking about the locker room at
I
the
don't know.
facility?
That's another part of this survey that's ambiguous is that they don't say, right? They don't say. It just says locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, they spend more time at the facility locker room than they do at the stadium one, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. And what's interesting, you go through it and you go, okay, training staff B. All right. Well, that's good. You like your treatment, you're above average. Weight room B. All right. They have a 10,000 square foot weight room. Everybody should be on a machine. They have pools. They have all kinds of stuff. Strength coaches. Oh, that's an A.
You'd be amazed how many Bs there were.
I am amazed because if you gave anything less than a B, when it's leg day, that guy's going to crush you. Or if it's chest day, you're dead.
There's
right?
2 Cs.
Really?
Arizona Cardinals got a C plus.
Wow.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers got a C minus for strength coaches.
Well, Steelers need to get a new coach then.
Everybody else is A's and B's.
Yeah. Team travel, which can get teams for sure. Bucks scored at a C minus, which was 26th in the league. They still take charter planes. They don't take as big a plane as they used to. It's usually like a 737 now, where it's 3 on one side, 3 on the other. You're very often sitting with somebody in your row, although not 3 to a player or to a row. But that aside,
the Patriots got an F on that one. Now they bought 2 planes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the complaints is there's still ashtrays in the armrest.
Okay, come on. When was it 1969 that they had to do away with the ashtrays in airplanes? I mean, come on, man. I swear to God,
just read the seats.
People that are very old will remember this. There used to be an airline called Eastern Airlines, and it serviced Tampa a lot. And our people, my dad's people, lived in Greenville, South Carolina, and so we could fly up there through Atlanta and land in Greenville and stuff like that. And I can remember being a kid because they'd leave me up there for a month, and I was chasing lightning bugs. What am I supposed to be doing here? I had nothing to do, bored to tears. But they sent me up there, and I can vividly remember sitting on an airplane for Eastern Airlines, and yes, where you have the little armrest, and there's usually a button to recline, that sort of thing. Right there is a little bitty ashtray, with a little lid on it that you can push in, and you'd be in like, row 15. Okay, first 15 rows are non-smoking. After that, burn them. And you're thinking, we're in a tube. We can't roll down a window here and let the smoke out. We're in a tube and we're doing 600 miles an hour. And where do you think the smoke is going? Do you think the smoke knows that I'm in 14 and smoking begins in 15? It was just, I mean, there were times I was on flights you couldn't even see the row in front of you. These people are just puffing away. So yeah, I would not want to be on one of those old airlines that are purchased somewhere.
And the Patriots plane does not have Wi-Fi, so
correct. The Bucks gave team travel a C minus. That's a negative if you don't have Wi-Fi. Head coach, they like Todd Bowles. He was a B plus, 23rd in the league.
That's another one. If you rate your coach low,
he's going to find out.
Like most of the lowest coaches were the teams that changed coaches. So like Jacksonville, New York Jets got C+.
Yeah, the witch is dead. Yeah, kick him on his way out.
No, I'm sorry. Hold on, that's the wrong column. Let me see. There was a couple. The Cleveland Browns got a C for head coach.
Okay, that's Stefanski. Yeah,
Yep. Chicago Bears, they got rid of their coach.
they got rid of Eberflus. You could give him an
Jacksonville
A
got
if
rid
you
of their
want.
coach.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the 3 C's, 2 of them got rid of the coach. So,
Right.
it's easy to go, yeah, that guy was a D or an F,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. And the other thing, I'm wondering how much of these, when you don't have the transparency, how much of these players that responded are players that are no longer going back to that team?
Well, that's the thing. There's no transparency in terms of who they interviewed, or I think more importantly, how many of them did you talk to? In other words, these things probably,
I wonder
although
if they
heavily,
tell the team some of that. Like, hey,
yeah, heavily,
52 players responded to yours and 20
well,
responded to yours. Like, they may not put that out publicly to the media and fans, but if they tell the teams that, I wonder.
I would want to know, and I'll tell you why I want to know, because out of all the things we just named, nothing I think scored lower than a C minus. Then you come to ownership, who is responsible for everything you just named. Ownership for the Buccaneers, D plus, D plus, 27th in the NFL. Okay, now I'm going to call BS on this whole survey because they're not transparent. They don't tell you how many players actually took the survey, right? Is it 3? Is it 30? Is it 53? They're not required to do it. I don't believe it came with, you get kicked out of the union or something. But a D plus for the Buccaneers owners. And this is after improving, giving them free daycare and the treatment of families and stuff like that. And after providing them with weight room and training facilities and strength coaches and, travel and that sort of thing. They go, they go to owners. And this is what it says. It says the Glazer family's average rating for perceived willingness to invest in facilities is 6.5 out of 10 from the Buccaneers players, ranking 27 to 32 owners in the league. The players feel that the Glazer family slightly contributes to a positive team culture, a rank of 27 out of 32. Slightly contributes to it? The players feel that the Glazer family is somewhat committed to building a competitive team, a rank of 26 of the 32 owners. Somewhat committed? Really? But yeah, a D plus. And now I'm gonna pick the bone because I don't believe this, right? Like that's what it says, and there I'm, you know, it's like they say it's not the voters that have the power; it's the people that count the votes, right? I would love to see these ballots because I can remember. Let's flash back to I don't know what was it, October when we had a hurricane. When did I think the Bucks played up in New Orleans around October?
Yeah, we had one
Uh,
in September, one in October.
yeah. Well, the second one was a doozy. Okay, let's just all
Yeah, for
agree.
Tampa, yes. I mean, St. Pete may have got the worst for Helene, but yes.
Right, exactly. I mean, Helene ripped off the trop and all of that, but the second one really kind of got up this way. And in any case, they were playing in New Orleans, and they got the hell out of town on a Sunday, right? And they provided all kinds of opportunities for players, coaches, support staff, like whatever that was going to be left behind. Get out of Dodge, right? Go here, go there. Um, and so the Bucks, you know, I can remember being in New Orleans for a week, or the players have been there for a week. I went up on Saturday, and they're coming up to me. They're going, "Oh man, Glazer's really stepped up. We've had 3 different hotels. We've had to move a bunch of places. Every place is great. I got my family here, my dog's here, my kids are here. My house is damaged back home, but when I get home, they're going to put me up someplace while my house is repaired." Like I heard good story after good story after good story. If you want to break it down and say you don't like team travel, they need bigger planes or something, that's fine. But to a man, the Glazers could not have been more generous. The players could not have been more appreciative at that time. I can show you quotes. They did everything they could for those players. And I can't believe that if you went and asked 10 players in that locker room what they thought of the Glazers, that, you know, that many would give such an unfavorable viewpoint. It boggles my mind because I could show you quotes from the stories I wrote from New Orleans about how grateful they were for the
Mhm.
team and how the Glazers really helped them out and stepped up. How do you get a D minus?
Well, not only that, but so my first thought is, okay, if you're going to D minus, it's the players think they don't pay enough or whatever else. Well, you made Antoine Winfield Jr. the highest paid defensive
Right.
back. You made Tristan Wirfs one of 2 highest paid offensive linemen.
You re-signed Mike Evans to a third deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that.
No.
If you want to say a couple years ago, when after coming off Tom Brady, they didn't spend some money in free agency and kind of paid due on their past debts for the salary cap.
Yeah, they didn't go
Okay,
crazy in free agency, but it had to be. They needed a reset,
Right.
right? You can't really blame them for that.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, the only teams worse than them in ownership. Let's see, the Cardinals, the Panthers. Yes, I can see that for
Yes,
sure.
double yes.
Let's see. When I'm scrolling down here, the Jets.
Okay.
Enough said.
Although the Jets have great facilities, but okay.
Well, but the ownership. I mean,
The ownership's terrible. They don't know what they're doing. 1969, man.
Here's Steelers were worse than them.
Yeah, maybe their stuff's getting a little old in Latrobe or something, or maybe it's a little too stale in Pittsburgh. But
But the Steelers, the
Rooney family's a pretty good family to work for, typically.
yeah, but I wonder, them, the Cardinals with the Bidwells, although the Bengals, the Browns got Mike Brown got a C. I mean,
they did okay. I mean, it's Mike Brown.
Yeah. They're kind of old school and kind of the way they think of some things and do some things. I could see some players, I mean, to be honest, the Bengals getting a C shocks me.
Yeah.
Like, I would think they're worse.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, there's no love lost usually with Mike Brown and those guys. So
Jerry Jones got a B.
he's got to be pissed. I really believe I got beer in the press box and I got best food and everything else.
The Bears got an A-. I mean, that organization's a disaster.
Yeah, pretty much. They just regulated their players pretty well or something. I don't know what happened. But yeah, just overall ranking, man, 27th in the league out of 32 teams.
The Chiefs got a C- for ownership.
No, what have they won? I mean, ownership had nothing to do with it. They just brought in Andy Reid. They re-signed all your players, including Patrick Mahomes. They had the foresight to draft them. Yeah. I'm sure most teams are not happy about this. Most. It said in this report, it said the he improved his treatment of players' families and got a grade from F. They were F last year to C minus, likely due to the decision to stop charging players for daycare during games. But several areas need improvement. They want better food quality. Who doesn't? They want more variety in the cafeteria. I'm getting tired of chicken. Another major concern is locker room cleanliness. 44% of the players report ongoing plumbing issues and persistent bad odors remain a problem.
Okay, it is a locker room, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, look at the guy next to you.
Well, but your job is literally to go out and dump pounds of sweat every day and then come into a room
and then come
together.
back and sit there and
Yes, there's going to be odors.
You know what it smells like? It smells like a locker room. So now everybody will get like a Febreze thing they can hang inside their locker or whatever to get the smell out of there. Interesting report card. I want to know.
Which, by the way, I read a survey the other day. This is way off topic now, but that like the wax candles, like the wax cubes that you can put in a warmer and put fragrance to your house, like it's bad for you.
The fragrance is bad for you? Or the
wax, burning the wax thing puts chemicals into the air in your house, and it's not good.
Oh, great.
I was like, well, there we go. Now it's not even worth living.
Jesus. Here's something that'll really relax you. Oh, my God, my house is on fire.
No, it wasn't. Well, I mean, I could do that.
Or
but
toxic smells and it fell asleep. And
it's like the wax cubes burn and it puts some chemicals in the air. It's like, well, now how am I supposed to get my house to smell nice?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, I
don't
got two
know.
boys. It smells like a locker room.
Yeah, it always does. Sure, it does. And when you're transporting them, so does your car. My car turns into a fast food restaurant. Wrappers everywhere. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna play a little defense for the Glazers. I don't get it, and I think the bulk of the roster is young. Maybe they have nothing to compare it to yet, except for college, which this is clearly not. So, not don't understand it. Anyway, let's get to the mailbag questions. And before we do that, I want to remind you guys to go see our friends at Breitling Boutique. You know where it is, right? You love it. You should go there. If you haven't been there, why are you waiting? It's in International Plaza Mall, second level, kind of in the center of the mall, if you will. Great store, great customer service. They deal with everybody. You're going to run into some professional athletes, I'm sure. Um, maybe a few Buccaneers, and they've also been having this limited edition, these beautiful chronomat watches representing all 32 teams in the NFL. Now, these things are going fast. If some of the teams may have sold out already, but if you want to go to our website, you can see this gorgeous watch, this chronomat watch in Buccaneers colors, and also the logo on there. They're absolutely beautiful. They've got women's watches too, not to be outdone, for your wife, your girlfriend. If she's on the go, like, bangs it around once in a while, getting the kids in and out of the car and groceries and whatnot. These watches are going to hold up beautifully. They got great wristbands. They're all colorful. Anything she wants, she's going to enjoy. It's Breitling Boutique. Okay, think about it. Middle of the mall, International Plaza. Go upstairs, second floor, and you're going to enjoy this store and hopefully come out of there with a beautiful, beautiful Swiss watch. Breitling Boutique. Let them know that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay.
All right, we'll start with some mailbag questions here. And John had tweeted, says in 2020, the Bucs made the moves required to sign the right people and go all in for a title run. Do you get the feeling that Jason Licht is in a place where he thinks they're ready to make another run? They have a good core, but the clock is ticking on how long they'll keep it together.
It's a great point, and I think you could make a good argument that the window is now. The window is always now, right? Like, at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on whether you win a Super Bowl. Only one team can; the other ones are very unhappy. But you got to put yourself in position to win it, and I think the Bucks have done that for a number of years, and they did make the right moves in 2020. But they had Tom Brady, and they were going to go for it because, one, nobody knew if Tom Brady was going to last a year, 2 years, certainly not 3. So you wanted to maximize it, but they still had good players that were homegrown, like Mike Evans, like Chris Godwin, et cetera. Pretty good offensive line. So that also was important, and I think I think signing the right people is important. Are they all in place? No, but they've got a young, good core of players, like all Pro Bowl quality players that are coming up right now. And so I think the window is a little wider. But if you look at a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin, you think about all the ball they've played, they're still integral parts of this team, and yet they're not spring chickens. I mean, you're talking about guys that are, into their, almost their 30s now. One is, and they're not going to be a LeBron forever. And Mike Evans isn't going to have 1,000 yards, receiving every season. So it's tough. But I do think that they're poised to make another run now, maybe the next 3 to 4 years or so, until Baker burns out and they have to get a younger quarterback. But you know, signing the right people, draft and develop. I don't see them going for it. I don't see them getting a Myles Garrett or something like that. I think Jason believes in. He's got a good locker room. Don't introduce anything that's going to screw that up, because that's very important. And they're just going to roll with these coaches, man.
All right, Mad Dog tweeted, with Liam Benedict Cohen with the Jags, who do you think is currently on the staff in the line of succession when Todd Bowles retires?
I'm not sure that anybody on this staff is in line. He's got an older staff. He's got guys that he's worked with or they coached him, at Temple. I don't see any, surefire, oh, this guy should be a head coach or will be a head coach. It's very difficult for me to think about the staff and seeing if they're going to find something. They've done that in the past. Obviously, Todd got his gig that way.
Well, the last 2 years, though, there was thought of, do you fire Todd Bowles and put Dave Canallison, do you fire Todd Bowles
Absolutely.
and put Liam Cohen in? I mean, who knows if
Absolutely.
Josh Grizzard becomes that this year?
Grizzard might well be a candidate, Harvard guy. If he has success on offense and for some reason they go into a swoon and don't win games or clock management is bad, they may be calling for him.
All right, Craig had tweeted. Says, what will happen first in greater Tampa Bay area? Rays play in a new stadium on either side of the bridge. Bucks play in a climate-controlled stadium. Or Sports Day Tampa Bay hits 10,000 episodes.
Well, I can assure you number 3 is not the correct answer.
Yeah, we haven't hit 2,000 yet. 10,000 would be a long time.
Holy cow. That'd be like another 15, 20 years.
More than that. I mean, it's been 7 or 8 to get to 2,000.
Yeah, that's true. So. Times 3, so yeah, 21 years. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking remember the Rays?
When the Rays were here in St. Pete? Remember that, Steve? Yeah, I don't want to go there. Definitely, yeah. Bucks or Rays. I'm going to say it's going to be a Rays new stadium. Well, yeah.
Well, because are the Bucks going to get a climate-controlled stadium, or is it just going to be covered?
I think there will be some climate control. I don't know that it'll be enclosed. Like, this is what I'm not sure of. What I think, as Peter King would say, is I think they're going to take the current structure, which architects like to say about places like that. It's got good bones, right? Which means it won't fall down if we just saw into it once in a while. But I do think that there's a way to control some of the climate. I don't know it's going to be enclosed. Certainly not going to be a dome because you're going to use Raymond James, but maybe some series of awnings or overhangs or something that puts more fans in the shade, right? And for that matter, a good portion of the team as well. Like, I would think you'd be working if you're not in it for that, then why are you building a new one, right? Like, you have to be in it for a more fan-friendly, climate-controlled situation. I just don't know what form it takes. I haven't seen any artist drawings. Rest assured, the Bucks know what their situation is, and they're keeping a close eye on the Rays as well. But that parcel of land on Del Mabry that went from Al Lopez Field to the old Sombrero, and now they put the new one at a different place, and so on. It's been there for such a long time. I just think they're going to have to make use of that area, and I don't think they're going to raise it and build it from the ground. That I'm almost sure of. I would almost bet your mortgage, Steve, that they're not tearing that stadium down. They might strip it to its bare bones, but whatever they do to that ballpark to renovate it, it's going to be in the same spot.
All right, Les had tweeted, Rick, I know Todd Bowles likes the Tampa 2, but that requires linebackers who can drop in coverage. With no linebackers under contract, is it possible that depending on how the linebacking core looks, that Todd Bowles could go to a 4-3 or some other kind of base defense to adapt to the talent?
Well, he's kind of in a 4-3. I mean, it's a 3-4, but I mean, he's got stand-up outside linebackers. So I mean, he utilizes all kinds of formations. You have a base, right? You have a base. He'd like to rush 4 if he could and drop 7. That's your best chance of stopping teams when you got a numerical advantage on the receivers. They can only get 5 eligible. You got 7 guys to cover, but the Bucs have not been good, rushing the passer. So I don't expect like schematic schemes from the standpoint of, whether it's 3-4 or 4-3, like, we're going to line up based on what we're trying to stop. And, they may go, heavy, inside at the linebackers, bring in a nickel corner or two to play linebacker, bring a safety down in the box if they're anticipating run, or the other could be true. I just think you have to adapt. It's a league of adapting. You don't just say, this is my defense and this is what we do. It's great if you can do that, but you better be able to have answers if they come out in something that you didn't anticipate. So yeah, I think that Bowles is always going to be multiple. I don't think you can pigeonhole him. Ideally, like he did in the Super Bowl against Kansas City, you rush 4 and you drop 7 and you feel pretty good about the confetti falling on your head.
Any team that can do that feels pretty good about winning. I mean,
right, because it's too hard, man. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the Super Bowl or college, whatever. If you can rush 4,
Yeah, you
and
got a
not have
numerical
to
advantage.
blitz. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got it made.
And Bowles blitz, probably 40 something, almost 48% of the time. And he wound up with a similar number of sacks, but it came not from the defensive linemen, but from linebackers and safeties coming down and blitzing. So you like to get back to having just a front four, front seven that can do it all, and then add from there if you can.
Steve had tweeted, says, Rick, with its ever growing popularity, is the NFL scandal proof? In other words, would something like a major gambling scandal injure it, but not be unrecoverable in a short period of time?
I think anytime you talk about the NFL and you talk about gambling, like it's like this dirty little secret, right? Like that's the lifeblood of the NFL. I mean, it really is. And for years and years, we can't have a team in Las Vegas. They gamble there, and now there's the Las Vegas Raiders. You've got owners in the league that own, certain gambling websites, right? Um, and you're going to see, and I still maintain that you're going to be able to go to a stadium, sit down in your seat, and from your seat, make a prop bet, make a bet on other games. It's going to be as much casino as it is stadium. And that's when the franchise values are going to hit the roof. The NFL has realized that they need gambling. They really do. And it's the perfect sport because you put it up there on the screen. It's a rectangular field. The TV is rectangular. Um, you know, this is sort of the silent partner of the NFL. So I don't know about scandal, although money corrupts there absolutely. Um, but with all the prop bets, with all the under overs, the danger, the real concern is that a player gets compromised somehow, and or a referee. Um,
I think it would take more than a player. I mean, we've seen players suspended for gambling.
yeah,
I think it would take a huge ring or something
if
of
you had more than one player on a team that
yeah,
conspired to do something,
right. Or if you could
that would
figure
be
out
huge.
that all 170 some refs did conspire to put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
No, that was Roger Goodell. That's under a
Oh,
directive.
okay.
That's different. They were following orders. We follow orders or men die. It's as simple as that. Can't they decide which order is morally objectionable? No, they cannot. Um, yeah, it's always comes back to a few good men. But I listen. People do get compromised, and I think as they have more gambling in this league, as the money gets bigger, um, you see it on TV all the time. There are people that get addicted to it. That's the train coming down the tracks, right? That's the thing. The lack of integrity in your league will destroy it, and um, I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to be harder because I think the temptations are going to be greater, and who knows, who they might be able to reach. But um, I think gambling is kind of out of hand right now. Like I'm a little tired of seeing all the ads and like ESPN will devote whole programs to, prop bets and the under over and, will, Baker Mayfield throw for 250 yards, yes or no, stuff like that. I just don't have any use for it. I just want to watch the games. But I can appreciate the people that do it, and many of them pour their lives and souls into it, and they know a lot more than me. But you are inviting certain elements of society to try to compromise a player or ref, and so as it becomes more prevalent, and there's more people not hiding it and don't have to. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a possibility you might run into something one day. It just depends on how desperate a player is, what their financial situation is. I don't know, but it's not anything like it was back in the day when they were like gambling. Oh no, you cannot enter the premises, and that's certainly evolved.
All right, we got two more here. John had tweeted, says, I've been watching the season Steven Stamkos is having in Nashville. As much as I hate to see it happen, do you think Julian Breezebois saw this drop in production coming last summer?
Well, sure he did. Absolutely he did. And we all love Steven Stamkos, but the goal of a general manager, is to make sure you move players along, before that you see the drop off. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Breezeball understood that, and I think he got rid of him at the perfect time. Now, Stamkos is not with his same players or system or city, so other things affect him too. I haven't watched all of Steve Stamkos' games. I haven't watched a Steve Stamkos game. But they absolutely were right to trade him, Steve. I mean, we all know they had to get younger. They couldn't lock up 4 years of salary until he was 32 years old. You lost something on the power play, but overall, are they a worse hockey team without him?
No, I mean, Breezeball didn't see this drop coming last summer.
Right.
They witnessed it the last 2 seasons.
Exactly.
And look, being on a line with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point, or at times Cirelli and Hagel, mask that a lot.
Yep.
And, there's a reason that Julian Breezeball got rid of Tanner Jeannot, Steven Stamkos, and Mikhail Sergachev. All 3 of them were not very good in 5-on-5 play the last 2 years. And that's where they wanted to improve the most. Is Steven Stamkos still has a lethal shot on the power play? Absolutely. Is there still lots of things that Steven does very well? Yes. Is 5-on-5, particularly defensive play, one of his strengths? Absolutely not at this point in his career. And that's where the change is, and that's why the Lightning are a better team this year than they were last year or the year before that. They can play 5-on-5.
Right.
The last 2 years, their 5-on-5, they were living off the power play the last 2 years.
They were. Mm-hmm.
This year, their 5-on-5 play is much better. I think it went from it varies, every game and whatever, but I think they're like up to 8th 5-on-5 play, something like that. They were 28th last year.
Well, they got more speed. They got better players.
But Jake Gensel's very responsible defensively.
Yeah.
And so you add him to that line with Point and Cooch, and then
McDonough comes in, and
McDonough's a huge help on that, and Hagel Cirelli have just been fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, they are responsible 5-on-5. If Edmonton didn't play very well on Tuesday night, but the Lightning absolutely shut them down.
Yep. Third period was textbook.
And that's the way the Lightning want to start playing. Get a lead and then shut them down.
Yeah.
That's how they got to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals.
And won a couple.
2 of them.
Best goaltender in the world.
Yep. I mean, that's the formula that they need to play with, particularly once we get to past April 17th, which is the last game of the season for the Lightning.
Yeah. Isn't it funny, though, and they know who they are. So many people, when I say so many, I mean a few with megaphones, were complaining, like, first of all, they predicted wrongly that they'll never trade Stamkos. He's not going anywhere.
Well, they didn't trade him. He was a free agent.
Free agent. But they said they're never going to let him out of here. They'll really sign him, whatever. And then it was, I can't believe what a mistake this team just made. It's going to cost Julian Breezeball his job, Like, before they even dropped a puck, and you had the guy fired. Like, come on, man. And then where are you now? Where's all this false anger now? Because Breezeball was right to move forward.
And Stamkos' troubles this year have been exacerbated by a team that's struggling. Not just Stamkos, but lots of they brought in a lot of new players. It just hasn't gelled. There's been a lot of things that's gone on, and just that hasn't helped him.
And we'll see if he sticks with it. I mean, he's got plenty of reason to, but
3 years at $8 million a year left.
Yeah, I think I would probably play it out if I could. Nashville's a good town.
We'll end on this one, and we answer these questions 100% correct. So,
yes, sir.
Michael asked, where will the Rays play in 2026?
I believe the Rays in 2026 will be playing at Tropicana Field. Now, I don't know that they'll start the season there. I think before it's over, maybe there might be more repairs needed, in the beginning of the season, which is okay. So I would say, but ultimately, maybe it's Steinbrenner again, but ultimately, I think they fix up this facility, because here's the thing: whether you sell it or you decide to move it, you're not going to do it fast. Then you're not going to do it that fast. You hear things, and you hear, well, maybe Stu wants to go to Omaha, or he wants to go here, move. I don't see that happening, because if you get a deal here or you sell it to somebody who wants to get a deal, either in Tampa or St. Petersburg, this team's not going anywhere. And so I think that they'll probably at least end up at the Trop. They may start at Steinbrenner, but I think in short order that they'll have that thing repaired and they'll be back in there until they can get a new ballpark. What say you?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It'll be Tropicana Field next year.
Mhm.
But if it's not ready yet, you could spend
Month
April
in.
or whatever at Steinbrenner or
Yeah, Clearwater, whatever. Yeah.
Steinbrenner being because what they're doing this year to make sure it's ready for Major League Baseball. If you're
And
only
they
going
would
to
have
play
had a year in for the
if you're only going to play a
underneath.
month or a month and a half or whatever,
Yeah,
depending on how long it's going to take to fix up the Trop, like Steinbrenner's the most ready at that point. So it makes
I
more
agree.
sense.
I agree. I don't think they're going anyplace. I think there's probably some people that would like to buy them, and that might be what ultimately happens. But we haven't seen those folks just yet, and I don't know.
Look, there's
I don't
always
know.
people looking to buy sports teams.
Of course, because they have money and they want influence and they want to own something that they can be proud of. And and frankly, there's only 30 in the world if you're talking baseball.
But there's always people wanting to buy. But are they willing
But
to do what it takes to buy it?
Yeah, do they have the money? Big hat, no cattle. Like, will you put all that money down?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people won't. So, but I still have faith. I'm keeping the faith. It feels to me like Stu is going to sell at some point, but I'm going to keep the faith. There's no need to worry about stuff until it actually happens. And God forbid this area lose baseball will be cataclysmic, in my opinion.
Well, I have news for you.
What's that?
Opening day is 4 weeks from today.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
God, it seems like eternal, doesn't it?
Yep. Which means we're 4 weeks and 3 days from the deadline.
The trade deadline?
No. Stu's deadline on March 31st to decide if he's going to keep the deal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you really think that'll be a hard deadline, or will they extend that somehow?
Everything's a negotiation, right?
Yeah, of course. I think Stu will own it initially.
The current agreement says March 31st, all parties have to sign. Now, like you said, could you extend it? Could you? Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Everything's possible.
I don't know. I don't know what Stu plans. I really don't, and it's frustrating to watch from afar. But I'm still trying to get excited about the season and the fact that new can be good, at least for a while. And I think some of the players might be, energized by being outdoors and playing the short porch and all of that. And so, yeah, I have hope for the Rays. If Taylor Walls doesn't win the shortstop battle, that is. Did you see that story?
Well, yeah, he's not giving it up. He's not giving it to Ha-Seong Kim.
All right, let's see if you can hit 250, big guy, because I'm pretty sure the Gold Glover is coming for you.
250. Yeah. Don't you want him just at 200 first?
Right. Well, yeah. Get above Mendoza, and then get above the 200, and then we can talk. But yeah, good glove, very little bat. It's good to have that attitude, though. Absolutely, I want you to play that way, but I'm not so sure it's going to be successful. We'll see. Great week on Sports Day Tampa Bay. What the Lightning got anything this weekend going?
Yeah, they're at the Capitals on Saturday afternoon, 12:30 puck drop. So
Alexander Ovechkin, who has a chance and most likely will, barring some cataclysmic injury, pass Wayne Gretzky. Am I right about that? Was he
this season?
13 goals to go?
Yeah, he was
Somewhere
12 before.
Yeah.
We got another. I think he's got another game after we're taping this before you hear it. So
incredible. Did you ever think that record would be broken?
No.
Yeah.
Now the one that will not be broken is the points record.
Scoring. Yeah, the points record. Forget it. Yeah. Ovi looks old too, man, but he can still play. He can still swing that stick. It's unbelievable.
He can, and then Washington's the best team in the Eastern Conference by
They
far.
Are. What a way to go out. Okay, so Ovi passes Gretzky. They get in the Stanley Cup and win it. Does he hang up his skates?
If he wins it, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. He's already got one, right? He's got one Stanley Cup.
I mean, if that's a Stanley Cup and a retirement party at the same time.
Whoo.
I mean, remember him last time with the cup.
Well, yeah, they partied for about 3 weeks, I think.
I think it was 3 months.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, a lot of his Russian teammates and whatnot. They're a fun team to watch. He's a fun player. I would co-sign with that if they can get that. Make sure you go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. They got the great watches for you there. The NFL limited edition anniversary watches, as well as watches for your wife, your girlfriend, sports watches, you name it. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know that they heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great weekend, everybody.